Hey there, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 main points I followed for an A on OET Speaking Medicine. I'm also going to share a few smaller tips along the way. These points and tips are comprehensive and simple. They demonstrate the skills which are scored using the speaking criteria. Let's jump into it. The first point is greeting and intro. Second, echo. Third, create a plan. Fourth, signpost. Fifth, summarize or teach back. Let's see what's greeting and introduction. This is very important. So greeting and introduction is divided into a new patient, follow-up patient, and a pediatric patient. For a new patient, you could say, "Good morning, I'm Dr. Jane, one of the doctors on duty today. I'm here to help you. Could you tell me your name and age, please?" For a follow-up patient, you could say, "Good morning, it's good to see you again. As a reminder, I'm Dr. Jane. For the purpose of records, could you confirm your name and age, please?" Or, "Good morning, John. It's nice to see you again. How have you been since I last saw you?" For a pediatric patient who is new, you could say, "Good morning. I'm Dr. Jane, one of the doctors on duty. I'm here to help you. Could you tell me your name, please?" And after the mother or father says the name, you could say, "Hello, Mrs. Smith. Who is this lovely young girl we have with us today?" Or, "Could you tell me the name and age of this lovely young girl we have with us today?" For a pediatric patient whose examination you have done, how will you know you have completed the examination? For this, you should read carefully the first few lines of the card. This is very important. So you could say, "I have finished my examination. For the purpose of records, could you please state your name and the name and age of your son or daughter again?" Or, "Hello, I've completed John's examination. Now I'm going to," and you could continue. Remember to keep the intro simple and do not ask more than one question at a time. That is, avoid compound questions. Now the second tip is echo or talking back. Let's see what that is. It is repeating in short what the patient told you. How do you do that? You could say, "So, Mrs. Smith, you told me that you noticed a rash on your abdomen 3 days ago, which is painful. Is that correct?" Remember to show signs of active listening while the patient is talking. You could say, "Okay, I see." This shows you've been listening actively. The third step is to create a plan. After the intro, the patient will tell you his or her symptoms. Then you will use the echo tip to which the patient will respond. After that, it's good for you to create a plan and inform the patient what you're going to do in this visit. You could say, "All right, Mrs. Smith, in this meeting, we are going to discuss your diagnosis, management, and some precautions you should take. Does that sound good to you?" The next thing is to signpost. It means using sequences like firstly, secondly, next, finally, or "I'm going to begin by explaining the diagnosis. Now we will discuss the treatment," or "Now I'm going to talk about the treatment as I mentioned earlier." The fifth tip is to summarize or teach back. You could say, "We have spoken a lot today. Just to make sure we are on the same page," or "Just to make sure I was clear, could you summarize in your own words what you've understood?" Remember, this is very important. After the patient summarizes, if he or she forgets anything, mention it. This shows you've been listening actively. After the patient summarizes, say, and don't forget, "I will arrange for a follow-up." Now let's jump into 10 small but crucial tips that could be very beneficial. The first tip is keep the introduction simple. The second one, no compound questions. For example, don't say, "How are you? What brings you in?" Say, "Hello, what brings you in?" Don't say, "Could you describe your pain? Where is it?" Say, "Could you describe your pain?" And after the patient answers, "Where is it located?" Move from open to closed-ended questions. Example, "Could you describe your pain? How severe is it? Where is it located? Does it radiate?" And give time to the patient to answer each of your questions. And don't worry, the card has information regarding what questions to ask. The next tip is active listening, and the fifth one is showing empathy. Example, after the patient describes his or her symptoms, say, "I'm sorry to hear that. It must be hard." You can also say, I can see you are anxious. What is worrying you? Now, this demonstrates picking up on nonverbal cues. And friends, this is also scored on the OET speaking section. The sixth step is to avoid third person references and use names. For example, don't say, I have completed your son's examination. Say, I have completed John's examination. The seventh tip is to be polite. Don't say, what is your name? It's better to say, could you tell me your name, please? The eighth tip is to be patient centered. Let's see what that is. Instead of saying I'm going to talk about, say, let's now discuss your diagnosis. Include the patient in your conversation. Instead of saying, Mrs. Smith, it looks like you have shingles, it is a disease caused by herpes, say, Mrs. Smith, it looks like you have shingles. Have you heard about that? This demonstrates information gathering. The ninth tip is to address the patient's concerns first. For example, when the patient says, I'm so scared about this rash, don't say, Mrs. Smith, it looks like you have shingles. Say, I can see that you're scared. Don't worry. It seems like you have shingles. Have you heard about that? However, if the patient asks you about treatment in the beginning, say, that's a good question. Do you mind if I answer that question after discussing some pertinent information with you first? This demonstrates sequencing. The 10th tip is on ending. You could say, I hope I've been of assistance to you. Take care. Or, I hope I've been helpful. If you have any questions, please come back and see me. Now, because I care about you, there's a bonus tip. If the patient surprises you with questions towards the end of the conversation, say, that's an excellent question. Here is a brochure that has everything you asked. I hope this video was helpful to you. The next video is a role play demonstrating all the tips mentioned here. Please do remember to check it out. Thank you.